At the end of the day, this school interviewed you. They had enough confidence in you that they interviewed you. The Old PreMeds Podcast, session number 340. Welcome to the Old PreMeds Podcast. My name is Dr. Ryan Gray, your host here every week, where I take your non-traditional questions and answer them here on the podcast. Go to premedhangout.com, ask your question, use the hashtag OPM podcast. We'll pull those questions and answer them here. Before we jump in, though, I want to talk about the MCAT Minutes brought to you by Blueprint MCAT. As a non-traditional student, your time is valuable and is often stretched thin because of other responsibilities, whether you have a spouse, family, kids, a full-time job, taking care of parents, whatever it may be, your kind of life as a non-trad can be a lot busier than a traditional student. Using Blueprint MCAT's free study planner tool, you can make sure that you have the plan in place that fits your schedule and your responsibilities and other commitments perfectly. So go to blueprintmcat.com, sign up for their free account where you get access to lots of amazing free resources, including their study planner tool, which I think is the most valuable part of that free account so that you can plan out your MCAT prep. Again, that's blueprintmcat.com. Let's go and jump into our question today, which is all about an SMP. The student asks, I graduated back in 2015 with a non-science degree. I first entered college in 2008 as a biology major, but faced personal challenges that caused me to withdraw from classes and ultimately college. I have recently gone back and completed all science prereqs with A's. Woohoo! I did get an interview this round, but was told by the admissions committee they are worried about my ability to handle the academic science rigor with the recommendation to do their SMP bridge program. How can I prove my ability when I already obtained A's in prereqs while working full-time? Is my only option an SMP program? I love this question. Again, super non-traditional question in terms of trying to prove academic ability, especially in a student who kind of quit college initially, went back and finished after 7 years, and now has gone back again to do post-bac work and get those A's. Now, what is interesting in this situation, right, without having all of the data, and that's one thing that I would have loved to see, is like, what does the upward trends look like? How many credits are those A's? Is it 5 credits? Is it 50 credits? We don't know that information, so we'll just kind of have to do some hypothetical kind of situations here. At the end of the day, this school interviewed you. They had enough confidence in you that they interviewed you. Now, I'll put an asterisk on that because I don't know what school this was. Is it a school that interviews all in-state applicants? We don't know what school this is. There are a few schools out there that will interview all of their in-state applicants. It's usually smaller states where there's a smaller pre-med population, where they have the bandwidth as a faculty, as an office, as an admissions office, to do that. Now, schools in California, New York, Florida, Texas, they're not doing those sorts of things. They just don't have the resources to interview all in-state applicants as a benefit to those students. So we don't know what school this is. We don't know the trends. We just know we got A's in prereqs. Again, is it 5 prereqs? Is it 10 prereqs, 20 prereqs? We don't know what that looks like. And we can, again, make some assumptions. Well, let's assume it's all prereqs. So you have Gen Chem 1 and 2 with labs, that's 8 credits. Bio 1 and 2 with labs, that's 16 credits total. Physics 1 and 2 with labs, that's another 8, so we're up to 24 credits, right? So we could do that sort of math and go, well, if it's all prereqs, we're probably around 35 or 40 credits, which is pretty decent. Now, again, this school gave an interview. So there was some confidence, theoretically. Let's assume it's not a school that's interviewing every in-state applicant. There was some confidence, something that piqued their interest in your stats, in your application, in your ability to perform well, or else they wouldn't have given you that interview. But ultimately, there was something either in your answers or just at the end of the day, you didn't make the cut because there was still concern, and you didn't assuage that concern, if that's the right use of that word. I don't know. I'm not good with words. You didn't ease their fears with your grades. And so, yes, they're going to say, hey, do our bridge program. Now, it would be awesome if it was free. I had a student on recently on the Pre-Med Years podcast where she did a bridge program that was free through Michigan State. Now, that is a situation where it's like, hey, we like you, we're accepting you, you just need to do this kind of year prep program. That's what I kind of call that program, because it's free. They're paying for her to go, right? Or there are funds, there are scholarships available for her to go. So this situation may be different. I don't know what school this is. Maybe it's Michigan State, maybe it's another school, but you have to think of school as business. And they're saying, hey, we're not going to sell you the Porsche. Come buy our Camry, right? Come to the SMP program where we can still make some money off of you. If you do well, you can come to the med school where we'll make some more money off of you. If you don't do well, we still made money off of you, right? It's a very cynical way to look at this process, but I would look at that process in that way. Without knowing where your grades are, what your specific situation is, it's impossible to give very specific advice. What I would recommend doing is sign up for a free Mapped account. During your free trial of Mapped Pro, which gives you access to our advisors through the chat function, make sure you get your grades in, all of your data into Mapped, and just go over to our chat advising and say, hey, all of my data's in here. I interviewed at one school. They said I should do an SMP. What would you recommend? We'll have all of that information there. Again, it's part of your free trial of Mapped Pro. Most of Mapped is free. Mapped Pro includes access to our letter recommendation feature, similar to Interfolio, where you can start collecting and storing letters, and we'll transmit it to AMCAS and ACOMAS, not to TMDSAS, unfortunately. But it also gives you access to our chat advising. So go create a free Mapped account and do that. That's what I would recommend for you to do. That's completely free during the free trial of Mapped Pro. If you want a little bit more hands-on, a little bit one-on-one, face-to-face with one of our advisors, you can do a 30-minute session with one of our advisors. And we have a specific kind of application renovation style session where we'll look at your application and kind of go over where you can make some improvements, including that discussion. Do I need an SMP? Do I just need a few more post-bac classes to continue to show that upward trend? So that's kind of where I'm at. It's impossible to know exactly what's needed with the information given. And so for the future, for all of you watching and listening, when you submit your questions, give as much information as possible, all right? What is your GPA? What is the trend? How many credits? What does that look like? To really help us out in this on this podcast, on the show, to really help everyone make the best decisions and give you the best information possible. So for this student, do you need an SMP? I don't know. For this one school, that's what they're recommending. Now, do you need an SMP for every school? I don't know. You only got one interview, and so potentially that's feedback that says, hey, we still have some concerns with your GPA, potentially. What does your MCAT score look like? I don't know. What do your clinical experiences look like? I don't know. What does your shadowing look like? I don't know. Research, community service, what do your essays look like? I don't know. When did you submit your application? I don't know, right? So there are a million questions that go into this when we're doing a session with a student and giving this sort of advice. That's all of the stuff that we can ask and figure out to really give the best information possible. So if you're going to submit a question for the Old Pre-Meds podcast, make sure you give a ton of that information so that we have it and can give the best advice. But hopefully this helps a little bit on your journey to getting into medical school. Good luck to you and best wishes. Again, if you have a question, go over to premedhangout.com. That's our Facebook group. Ask a question. Use the hashtag or topic tag OPM question. We'll find it and throw it here in the queue for the podcast. And don't forget to check out our sponsor, BlueprintMCAT.com. sign up for that free account, get access to their amazing study planner tool. We'll see you next week. Have a great week. Bye-bye.